Hey everyone, I am Ingrid and I am 28 years old, and in 2025 I traveled for a month all alone to China, and this is my experience. Let's start with safety. If you're traveling alone, especially as a woman, you need to kind of see how that country is for women in general, and traveling to China as a woman is super safe. I mean, you know, in every country stuff can happen, but in China I felt specifically safe. I've never felt this safe in my life. You have security cameras everywhere. Police and guards are more visible and actually more around you in the street, so you can go to them if you need any help. And in general, people to me has been respectful. I've seen some videos of some women having some uncomfortable encounters with the men. That can happen in every country, but just keep in mind that this is my view. So I personally never had any uncomfortable situations.
I totally forgot about it when I made this video, but here is something you should maybe be aware of.
There will be many people asking to add you on WeChat. I, at that time, was kind of a weak soul and I just added very many on WeChat.
Oh, Ingrid.
If you do that, you will fastly realize that they maybe want more than just friendship. It happened to me. I added someone and they were just like, oh, can I come to your hotel room? And I think this is just a theory, but I think maybe some Chinese man looks at Western women as more open-minded. So they're maybe hinting to like going to your hotel room for like a one-night thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, maybe be a little bit cautious with who you add on WeChat. Yeah, learn that. But people are respectful. It's just they maybe want more from you than just a friendship, let's say that. But I'm gonna tell you, the first time I went to China, the first night, I was like, I'm hungry, so I went out and I walked alone in Shanghai in the dark. I don't recommend people doing this. I never want to go and say to women, just do that, but I felt safe. That's my point. I felt safer in China than in my own country, and Norway isn't even that bad. What about scamming? I know some countries you can be scammed. I never experienced being scammed, but I didn't really put myself in situations where I could be scammed. And I don't even know if this is something that happens in China. Oh wait, I actually have one thing. I didn't get scammed, but I know at certain train stations and stuff, there are some kind of fake taxi drivers, especially when I was in Datong, and they will kind of come to you and be like, oh, come to my taxi. That's something you should think about, that there could be some scam taxi drivers. But they will show you with signs at the train stations that like, no, say no to them and go to the correct taxi place. If you go to the correct taxi place, those are real taxi drivers. They will not be scamming you. Are people friendly in China? And are people friendly to a female traveling alone in China? The answer is yes. People are very friendly. Some people can seem a little bit, you know, they stare and maybe you can feel uncomfortable, but they're just curious and they want to help you if you need help. But yes, they're very friendly, and again, I didn't have any negative feelings about being a woman in China. I only felt like I got a lot of attention. They will praise you and say that you look beautiful, even though when you don't feel beautiful, they will say it. So yeah, very friendly, kind people. So on my first trip to China, I met a lot of new people. Like every day I met a new person, and they're so hospitable. They pay for your food and they take a lot of pride in showing you their country, China. I get so much more confident after I have been in China, or when I'm in China, because people there are just themselves more than in Norway, where I'm from. They do what their body wants them to do. You can see them dance in the park. They do whatever they want to do. It's nothing called like cringe. I mean, of course, they probably have something they find cringe, but I just in general feel like people can be themselves without having to think like, oh, other people will be annoyed or other people will not like it. Even though I said people are friendly, they're gonna be people that are stressed in China because like they live in the big city. So I did get yelled at by one woman on my first trip to China in Beijing, because when I was going into the subway, I didn't go on the subway as fast as she liked me to. So she was just pushing me in because I think maybe she was about to get hit by the doors closing behind her. So yeah, things can be a little bit more faster paced than what you're used to maybe in your own country, and you can get yelled at. But No hard feelings. Going to China, this is maybe a weird thing, but I felt more faith in humanity and in respect and in the younger generations, because the younger generation there is so kind, so respectful. I met some kids and they were just talking to me in English, and that would never happen in Norway. Kids in Norway, when I walk past kids in Norway, I'm afraid they're gonna curse at me or say mean things to me, literally. I'm scared of the youth sometimes in Norway, but in China they're so respectful, and it gives me kind of a faith in humanity again. One positive thing is that it's relatively cheap to travel in China, especially if you come from a country with an okay economy. So it's kind of cheap so far, but now that China is getting more and more popular, I am thinking that it can be more expensive in the future. So now is the time to go to China and travel there before it becomes too popular and they up the prices.
51 yuan, that's cheap compared to Norway.
One of the cheapest things for me coming from a country like Norway, where food eating out is so goddamn expensive, that I almost never eat out, literally. It is eating in China. Eating out in China is so affordable that you can just go out and eat every day. You don't have to like go out to the store and buy foods you have to make at the hotel room or whatever. Nah. It's very cheap, especially if you're not in the big cities. It's gonna be like, oh, you want a breakfast for $3? Let's go. What will make it very easy for you is that everything is done by phone. If you have Alipay and Trip.com, most of your words will be gone. I use Trip.com to book all my train tickets and all my hotels. And all the hotels I have booked through Trip.com has been all friendly towards tourists. And I use Alipay for literally everything else. For paying, I use it for subway and bus tickets. And I also use it for Didi, because you can use Didi on the Alipay to get your taxis and move around. And also you can have a navigation app. Just remember that Google Maps do not work as you want in China. But I have a video here on what navigation apps that works in China and that you can use. But yeah, everything is done on your phone. And I also have a video actually here on all the apps that you should have on your phone before going to China. And it's the apps that I used on my trips to China. But with that being said, you're very vulnerable and you want your phone to be charged at all time. So I, before going to China, bought a power bank. But don't worry, since it's so important that your phone has power, they have these rental power bank stations everywhere in China. And what you do is you buy them through these payment apps called Alipay or WeChat Pay. So yeah, you will be able to charge your phone everywhere. It's very nice when you go to tourist attractions because you don't have to worry that much about having a ticket. You only have to bring your passport most of the time because your passport is your ticket, usually. Because when you book the ticket, you have to put in your passport. Even Chinese people have to always put in their passport information when they book tickets. Booking things online can be a little overwhelming. Like if you want to go to a museum or book tickets for any kind of tourist attraction. Maybe for some people this isn't hard, but for me, I never actually learned how to do it myself because from the beginning, I had a friend always booked the tickets for me and I love him for that. But it has then made me not being able to do it myself. It can be a little bit confusing sometimes, and it can be hard also because in China there's so many people. So for an example, when we went to the Hanging Temple, they only accepted like 1,000 and something people a day to walk into the Hanging Temple, and the tickets sold out like this. Like it sold out on the spot when they released the tickets because so many people are in China. So you are gonna maybe have a hard time sometimes to get tickets for what you want to do, and you have to book it much in advance. And that brings me to how nice it is as someone without a car to get around in China all alone. You have subways. So easy with Alipay, you can just scan the subway card and you get access to all the subways in China. You just have to activate it when you go to a new city, all the buses. And then if you use Didi, it's kind of like Uber and you can just get a taxi. And I was a little bit afraid of doing this because I had never ordered a Uber or anything ever alone and hardly used a taxi in Norway because it's so expensive. So when I did the first Didi in China, I was kind of nervous, but after you know how to do it, Oh my god, I use Didi so much and it's so nice to get around and it's not expensive. I remember I took a Didi from Xi'an to the Terracotta Warriors. It's over an hour drive and I mean, it was a reasonable price. And then you have the trains. They are really easy to book. I use trip.com to book all my train tickets. So yeah, getting around in China is super convenient and easy. But the thing in China is that you have to book them a little bit in advance because there's so many people in China, so you can't just go to the train station and book it there. I mean, you could try, but sometimes then you're left with no tickets or at all. Maybe you have to stand, or maybe you have to buy the most expensive ticket because nothing is left. When I was traveling during like the end of the national holiday in China, I had to book like first class tickets or like business class because everything else was taken. Fine, because then I could see how a business class was on Chinese trains. But yeah, you don't want to find yourself in that situation where you have no train, right? And you have to stand maybe. Also, because there are so many people in China, some tourist attractions can be very crowdy to the point where it makes the experience a little bit less pleasant. It happened to me at the Forbidden City. I felt this a little bit. I mean, what do you expect? When I was in Datong, we went to see like the Buddha that's carved in the stone and these groats? I don't know what they're called in English. And it was just so many people and you feel like you're just standing there silly tønne, like we say in Norwegian. It's a little bit less pleasant. So yeah, maybe not for people that doesn't like too many big crowds. But if it helps, I'm a Norwegian, I like my personal space and I don't like too many people, but even I had a good time in China. So it's not gonna be a deal breaker, but yeah, be prepared. And don't travel during the national holiday, because during the national holiday it will be crowded. Like seriously. So how is it to communicate with people? I mean, you will always be better off in China if you speak Chinese. Of course, you cannot expect people to speak English. Some people maybe can.
Where are you from?
我是 nowhere in.
Speaking some Chinese phrases are your best friend, and having a translation app, just do it. Just have a translation app on your phone, even if it's Google Translate or something else. But what I did is that if I want to order something, I take a picture, because they have like pictures usually of all the foods they sell like up, and I take a picture of it and I just show it. I say iga, like one. And they're like, okay. Usually it goes okay with just that. And if you don't understand each other, just use the translation app. But of course, learning Chinese would make it a whole lot easier for you. But I traveled twice to China and one time for a month, and I don't know that much Chinese, okay? I know just the basics. Another negative, in a way, is how you feel very small when you go back home. My country has 5 million something people, and when I've been to China, where one city has so many more people than my country, you feel very small, and you also feel like what your country is fighting for. Like every day we are doing environmental things in Norway, like recycling. Everything can feel like it doesn't matter because you see how many people live somewhere else in the world. And Norway is such a small, tiny piece. So it can make you feel just very small and like things doesn't matter as much. Because you know, you just unlocked a whole new world where everything is bigger. But I mean, it's not really a negative, it's just that it makes you think, you know? It makes you think different of your country, in a way. So this was my experience going to China. I had an absolutely wonderful time each trip. I recommend everyone to go as a female, as a man. Solo traveling is amazing. You will feel like you have done such an accomplishment in your life traveling alone. And if you have any trouble, reach out to like officers, or they're there to help you, right? This is not a scary country like maybe you thought before. So be open-minded. And do some research before you travel. And have any questions? Leave them down below. Have an amazing trip to China, okay? Keep exploring and keep learning.